for that non-motorized group across the bay. So as part of the EIS, the environmental impact statement, it was committed to be, you know, as mitigation for the impacts of the project, as well as impacts, potential impacts to that historic structure. It was decided that it would be rehabilitated to be a recreational pedestrian bike bridge.
One more question,
sure.
if you don't mind. I want to plead my ignorance here. Now, that new section of bridge is being built.
Yeah.
How many lanes of traffic is that going to?
4.
4 lanes. And 4 lanes heading south?
There'll be 4 lanes in each direction.
Heading south. And the other 2 sections are going to be 4 lanes heading north then, after you rehab those 2
correct.
sections. Okay, thanks. That's it.
There'll be an interim time when all 4 lanes are on that new southbound bridge.
While the other ones are being rehabbed.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah. And the 4 lanes really only extend between exit 3 and exit 6. From exit 1 to exit 3, I mean, exit 2 is going to be discontinued in Newington. And basically, as you travel north from exit 1, it's 3 lanes today and next down to 2. So basically, in the future, we'll go from 3 to 4 at exit 3, and then be 4 lanes across, from exit 3 across the exit 4 area across the bridges. Exit 5 is going to be discontinued, and then the 4 lanes will stop at exit 6. And just attached these for informational purposes. I kind of provided a general overview of this previously, but this kind of gives you a little more detailed information on the status of each one of those projects. So ORT, there was a question about open road tolling. That's what Hampton looked like before open road tolling.
I said that many a day.
It was very congested, very frustrating, not customer friendly. Air quality suffered. Gasoline usage was very high because basically you had stop and go travel to get through the tolls. And this is what it looked like. This is a photo that we took from the air on Memorial Day at 3 o'clock in the evening. Open road tolling, not only from an operational standpoint, because the open road toll lanes can handle 4 to 5 times the traffic than a cash lane, than a cash booth does. So you have just tremendously more capacity. You had the convenience of being able to just drive through 65 miles an hour as opposed to slowing down and stopping. And the delays are estimated to be reduced to 180,000 hours. I mean, what you have there is 24 million vehicles a year going through that facility. So 180,000 hours annually estimated to be reduced. You have the plaza operation that is improved greatly. I mean, before, if you looked at that photo, people would do last-minute switching. You'd have, fender benders, and that would make even things a lot worse because you had these minor accidents right in the middle of all that. So last-minute lane switching was eliminated. We're also finding, which wasn't something that we were anticipating, but we're also finding that there's fewer people using the Easy Pass lanes that are not supposed to. People would get caught and they want to pay cash, but because of all that traffic, they got in the wrong lane and they were forced through the Easy Pass lane. So now we're seeing, much fewer undefined transactions, which means that it's more orderly. People with Easy Pass are using open road tolling. People that want to pay cash, are using the cash area. Not to say that you can't, do by one or the other. I mean, if you don't have an Easy Pass, you get caught in the open road toll lanes, your license plate will be taken and an invoice will be forwarded to your address. If you have Easy Pass, you get in those cash lanes, you can go through also with your Easy Pass, and that's taken.
I have one other question about tolling. Why is the pay cash on the inside lane rather than next to the booth where not pay cash, but exact change? Why is that on the further left side?
You're talking about Dover?
It must be
Dover and Rochester?
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to, yeah. doesn't seem to make any sense to me, because you get those people cutting in front of you all the time, trying to get over in that left lane.
To be honest with you, Dover and Rochester, they've seen better days. They've outlived their useful life.
Well, certainly when you have a design like that, that doesn't help any, I'll tell you.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I'd have to check with our operations folks why why they have that.
It would make more sense to have it next to the way you got to get change. But
I had a question. I always wondered why you couldn't use Easy Pass in the exact change lanes.
Because the equipment isn't there to support Easy Pass.
I just thought it was something that might help people if they wanted to use an exact change lane and they had an Easy Pass, they could still have that option.
That may be changing, whether we continue with the exact change lanes at Dover and Rochester. We're going to be talking about that. It seems like the Easy Pass percentage is a lot higher now through Dover and Rochester. I mean, we're talking about better than 65, 66% of the traffic. So, although that lane can process more traffic, we have to take a closer look at how many people are using the exact change, how many people are using the intended lane, and maybe manage that a little bit better.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
I commute this every day for the last 20 years. The bottleneck is before you get to this Sullivan Bridge, obviously, coming down towards, you go over Scammell Bridge, and that's where it backs up. Is that widening of the bridge designed to stop that bottleneck?
Yes.
Before you can get to the bridge, although it seems because of all the merging that has to happen. Correct.
I mean, you have a very, very heavy volume of traffic coming from Route 4 that's merging with the southbound traffic coming, down the Spalding. So yes, that's a bottleneck today, and in the future, that whole area will be 4 lanes in each direction. So the merge will be greatly improved. There'll be much more capacity there.
All the way to the Scammell Bridge?
All the way to the Scammell Bridge.
Wow.
Well, Scammell Bridge, no.
It's pink on here. I don't know if it's...
Yeah. Well, from the Scammell Bridge, you're going to have 1 lane, and there's going to be a roundabout constructed at Boston Harbor Road. That's going to be more efficient than the signalized intersection that exists there today. And then there'll be 2 lanes heading east, and I think that's a 2-lane ramp. That's a 2-lane on-ramp, southbound on-ramp that's heading onto the Spalding. And there'll be a new bridge over Route 4. Excuse me, a new bridge that will be over the turnpike. That will be 2 lanes in each direction. So there's going to be much improved traffic situation once this.
We're going to put Frank towards Tollgate, remember?
Okay, right.
So you're saying it's going to look more like the merging on the I-95 from 60
To
exit. It's going on the 95, 2 ways going straight for 60.
Yep. Just
That entrance on the 60 Route 4.
Yeah, well, that's more of a high-speed entrance.
Yeah.
This is going to be a it's a 2-lane ramp, but the geometry is such that it's much tighter.
Yeah.
But and eventually, it will merge with the ramp, and we can roll out. I mean, we can refer to that plan. Let me get through this, and then we can talk about the Newington Dover project more specifically.
I'd just like to say about the Hampton ramp tunnel. So I regularly go to Hampton, and it's that exact change on the inside is really good to use, especially on Friday and afternoons and weekends or evening commute, so that you can position yourself and put the exact change in whatever, to get yourself so that when you slide over to go to Hampton, you don't have to cross from the outside across to the Hampton, because then you're crossing.
You're talking about at Dover?
Right, at Hampton.
We don't have it. We don't have any coin lane.
Yes, you do. Well, no, there's a person that takes
Yeah,
it right there.
there's a tent. Yeah, it's a tent.
That's really important to have, so you can position
Yep.
yourself before the toll, so that you're in a safe place to make the Hampton. So I hope you keep that.
Yeah, at Hampton side, I mean, we don't have any coin machines at Hampton side either. They're attended, and yeah, we have Easy Pass in the center there for that very reason, because of the traffic that needs to go in either direction, yeah. The other thing that, with ORT that has happened, Easy Pass has grown. Easy Pass has grown considerably at Hampton as compared to the rest of the system. The Hampton Mainline Plaza used to have a very low Easy Pass usage that lagged behind the rest of the system. Now it's actually, it's much higher than Hooks at Mainline. It's just slightly below Dover and Rochester. And that's with a lot of out-of-state travelers. And the reason for that is, I believe, the better level of service that ORT provides. What that has been able to allow us to do is reduce our staffing levels. So when you look at our toll collection staffing costs, we're able to reduce that 20%, which equates to $435,000 a year, just at that one plaza, which is an incredible, value. I talked about the current program. I think what's important, and I think some people were questioning, well, what else is there on the system that the Turnpike program is looking at. If you travel through the I-93 corridor, Bow-Concord, it looks like this every single weekend. Friday, that's Friday evening. It's at capacity. That's I think a September photo. I forget what it says down there. No, excuse me, November. That's November 1st. So I mean that's what it looks like. It's a very curvilinear section of roads, 2 lanes in each direction. It really needs to be addressed. The department did a 2020 study about 10 years ago, and the project is still unfunded. Part of it is Turnpike, because the southern part from 89 to exit 14 is Turnpike. The northern part from exit 14 to I think just about exit 16 is federally funded. But it's a $195 million project that really needs to get done this decade. So that's a need. Nashua Bedford, if you travel through up the F.E. Everett Turnpike, there are 3 sections that are really 2 lanes in each direction, and the rest of the corridor has been improved. With the airport access road opening up, that's going to put even more stress on that corridor. So that's a $70 million effort to address those 3 sections. If you travel through the F.E. Everett, through Manchester, through the Mill Yard area, exit 6-7 is a safety location. It's a very old, outdated interchange. That's a $70 million problem that needs to be addressed. I have Spalding Turnpike toll facilities on here. They really, and particularly what's going to happen in the future as Rochester is finished, as the Newington-Dover project is finished, the area is going to be much more attractive to travelers, which is going to bring more traffic to the area, more growth to the area, and those turnpike facilities certainly are outdated. They need to be addressed. So whether it's open road tolling or what's also being contemplated is all electronic tolling, where you would just put a gantry, and for those that have a transponder, there would be an Easy Pass transactions. For those that didn't have a transponder, it'd be an invoice that would be forwarded to those folks. So, that's something that we're looking at in the future. Our maintenance needs, right now, we maintain the Spalding out of one location in Dover at exit 9 that is basically has commercial property built around it. It's very constrained. Today, we're challenged in operating out of that facility. So we're really looking at maintenance facilities in Newington and either Dover or Rochester.
When you say Spalding, does that get to the circle? Does that, how far?
Yes.
That goes all the way to the circle?
All the way to the circle, yeah.
Okay.
Our administration building, if you come by the Hooksett office, the administration building is over 50 years old. New building is needed. We've done a lot of ITS work on the Spalding in 95, 93. The other major corridor into the state is the F.E. Everett Turnpike, so the infrastructure is necessary for that. As well as those House Bill 391 authorizations I talked about that are unfunded. You know, in total, we have $460 million of needs that are unfunded in this next 10-year plan, horizon. Yes, sir.
I want to go back to your first line item there, Bow Concord. Does that include anything in terms of the 93 to 393 ramps?
Yes.
I use that regularly, and that scares me.
Yeah, that's actually the federal portion. I will say that federal funds they're diminishing. You know, everybody keeps on looking at the federal program to bring in federal money, and with the current transportation bill, there is a lot of question whether we're going to even receive what we have in the past.
What transportation?
Yeah, they keep on doing a continuing resolution, and there's no agreement on the federal side on what the bill should look like. So the federal program, it is hard to say, but certainly this piece being federally funded this decade is extremely unlikely. What has been talked about is possibly extending the turnpike system to redefine it, and then have that be part of the turnpike, and then have this entire program be funded with future added revenue.
Does that include additional tolling?
No.
Makes sense.
No. May include additional toll increase, but not additional tolling.
People without a transponder, how do you send them an invoice?
Today, if you, let's say, go through and you don't have a transponder, you go through by accident, the system captures an image of your license plate and sends you an invoice for the toll and a $1 processing fee to cover the cost of, you know, that license plate lookup and the address and mailing. So in essence, if that's paid within 30 days, then it's settled. If it's not paid within 30 days, then that person gets another invoice, a second one, for $1 and $1.50 fee for the added mailing cost for another 30 days. And if that isn't paid within that period, then it becomes a violation, subject to the toll and a $25 violation fee for that transaction. So that's how the system currently works, and that's how we would expect it to work with all electronic tolling. Now, we cannot implement all electronic tolling today because we don't have that infrastructure base built up. We need to build up added reciprocity with adjoining states, because we have out-of-state travelers that I just mentioned that use our system. And if we take away the cash paying element, then we have to somehow be able to make sure that we're able to collect from those folks. So we need to build up that infrastructure. And we're doing that. We have reciprocal agreements in place with Maine and Massachusetts that we're basically, that are piloting and evolving. We expect that to continue to be successful and expand to other states. In addition to that, we have to change the legislation because there are some privacy elements, that currently are protected. Currently the laws are written such that we can only put camera equipment in our toll collection lanes, not in the cash lanes. So it kind of restricts us a bit in terms of now you're really taking away that ability to pay cash. So you really have to provide, change the law to be able to provide the ability to take images of those license plates of those vehicles that go through that don't have a transponder. And deal with them through the invoicing process, but certainly have a violation system built, established such that if they don't pay, then you're able to collect. Because we want to make sure it's fair and equitable across the system.
I just had a question. If you implement this all electronic toll system, will you still charge an additional $1? Because I don't think people would be too keen to paying an additional $1 to go through.
Yes, we would, because we operate as an enterprise fund. We need to operate like a business. If it costs us more, like right now, it's costing us 2 to 3 times as much to collect a cash toll than it is to collect an electronic toll. So at some point, we need to cover our costs, and it becomes an equity thing. So if it's costing us more, we need to cover our cost. If it's costing us more to take that license plate image, look up the address, send them notice out, then we have to cover that cost. So I would say yes. I can't, certainly I may have a biased opinion. I have Easy Pass in my own vehicle, my own private vehicle. I have an account that I pay. It's convenient, it's easy. You know, when I travel through the toll systems, I pay. You know, I don't get free tolls. It is so convenient to have Easy Pass that I would say that there would be a large percentage of people shifting to get a transponder.
Yes, I have one, but I know people who don't, and
Yep.
I was thinking they'll be paying an extra $1 on top of the toll
Yep.
if they don't get one. So you're basically implementing everybody to get an Easy Pass, encouraging everybody to get it.
And all electronic tolling exists in a lot of areas, particularly in the South. I mean, Florida is a big, big tolling state. That's how they're able to fund their transportation to a large extent. They have all electronic tolling, and they have probably 80 to 85%. It's called SunPass, that utilization.
Chris, would that maybe be the time when you go back to a deep discount for the transponders? Because for somebody like me who lives in Durham, I don't go through tolls.
Yep.
I never go through tolls, we also don't want to discourage people from going through the tolls and riding on 125, for example, to a greater degree. So would that maybe be one strategy to get?
I mean, it could be.
Folks.
Could be. Do you know what the transponder cost is right now?
No, I don't know, but
It dropped from $20.95 to $8.90.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Well, that might be the point
Yeah.
where I finally get one again, because at 25, I would never have a payback.
Right.
So
Right. No, the whole IAG, the whole Easy Pass group that New Hampshire's a part of, just they went through a procurement for a new contract for Easy Pass equipment, and the transponder cost dropped dramatically. It's $8.90 now, which is, I think, a pretty good deal.
Do the legislators get a transponder, or they have to go through the cash toll?
The legislators, by law, they can have a non-revenue account, so they can have a transponder or their license plate, you know, their legislative plates. They have free passage. They do, but I don't.
Can we get that information on where they've been?
Can we get that information? No. Actually,
Only good in New Hampshire.
well, I will tell you that, and people are concerned about their privacy, but we can only use the information for the Easy Pass system. That information is not shared. Unless, I mean, certainly by subpoena, if there is a court subpoena, then, you know, that information, you know, would be released. But that's the only way that we can release that information.
It's a really good crew down at the Easy Pass office. I've been mailed a few times because I don't hold my thing up, but I've got a Mass company car, and it throws them because stuff shows up in my account from Mass that can't be paid in New Hampshire and vice versa. It's no big deal. They're very nice people, and they seem to know what they're doing, but I couldn't figure out what she was talking about. So I just say how much and we pay, and that's the ballgame.
Well, maybe we can talk offline.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Okay.
I should learn how to hold the thing up higher, see, so I don't get...
Yeah.
And the Commonwealth of Mass is happy to pay New Hampshire fines.
Brad.
Actually, it brings up a good point. You know, we operate with G plates. We currently use the cash lane. Can you, with G plates, actually go through the Easy Pass lane so that you can pass through more efficiently?
I'd have to check the statute whether a G plate is eligible. I mean, emergency vehicles are, legislative vehicles are. I'd have to check the statute. I don't know if a G plate is, you know, eligible.
Eligible. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down. Any other questions?
Yeah, slightly different note than the Easy Pass. You were speaking before about how you're expecting increased traffic pressure on 16 in the future going forward, but the Little Bay bridges in the Rochester section are going to help with that. I guess my question is addressing that area between the tolls, exit 7, 8, and 9, which I would contend that, 7 and 8 certainly are some of the worst interchanges in New Hampshire. They're pretty dangerous, in my opinion. It's down to 2 lanes. Do you anticipate bottlenecking as soon as you get to the toll booth in the future, or is that, a stretch of roadway that down the road, I'm guessing past 2020 at this point, but Turnpike should be looking at expanding to, 3 lanes perhaps, and reworking the interchanges?
Right now, that's not on our radar screen.
Okay.
Right now, the Newington-Dover project, basically, the toll plaza is 4 lanes, each direction, 8 lanes wide. So it's basically going to match into that width there. Really, it's not going to be a bottleneck.
But wouldn't it be then going down 2 lanes directly after?
Well, it does today.
Yeah.
So it'd be no different north of the tolls.
Okay.
But traffic dramatically today, traffic dramatically drops off because you have a major leg, going out Route 4, and the capacity of that 4-lane section. My recolletion is that it was sufficient all the way through 2020.
Okay.
So at some point when that may capacity get stressed, then we may look at it. But right now, it's not on our radar screen.
It's not planning for it now, it's 2020.
I'd just like to add, exit 8 northbound in the morning is extremely dangerous. The time you have to get on with the exit off at 8 and trying to go north with all of the traffic moving to exit 9 to get off for the offices and businesses in that location, it's very challenging access onto this one.
Other than anecdotally, has there been any kind of request made of the department to look at that location? No. If it's truly a problem.
It's really complicated because UPS starts hauling up that way too. So right after the peak of the people arriving at the offices at exit 9, then UPS releases all their delivery vehicles, and they're going both ways on those exits. So it's really that's when I'm making my commute, and it's really challenging.
I guess what I would suggest, Cynthia, if there are, issues that you feel at that location, then submit a letter to the department, and maybe we can look at it. This is the R&R program. So in essence, by our bond resolution, we need to maintain the system in good condition. So the program, the intent is really for preservation, maintenance, and minor upgrades to existing infrastructure. HNTB, which is our kind of independent consultant, did an analysis back in 2006, and they just updated the report, came up with recommendations, what was needed, moving forward in the next 6 or 8 years, in terms of, what we would need to commit to that program and expend on an annual basis. So, on average, between fiscal year 9 and 11, we spent almost $10 million a year. The draft 10-year plan includes about $10.5 to $12 million per year expenditures. It's resurfacing. Right now we have about $6 million per year for resurfacing work. Bridge painting, minor bridge repair, drainage, guardrail, toll plaza, building maintenance. I will tell you that the updated report has reduced the level of expenditures that is in the draft 10-year plan because of the system being in such good condition. So we're probably going to adjust that, particularly in our financial model, as we move forward to, I think the expenditures, over a 6 or 8 year period, they were roughly about $6 or $7 million less, which ultimately will go into some other capital improvement. This is a lot of numbers here. I don't know if it's legible in the information you have, but this is kind of our capital model. And financially, as I mentioned, it's an enterprise fund. We can't be like the federal government and go into the negative. We have to make sure that the cash is positive. With the bond that we have outstanding, the rating agencies and bondholders want to make sure that our coverage ratios are